Hello. Today we're gonna make a database in a MySQL Workbench using a local connection, MySQL connection. I already set it up, so you can put your password on it or not, and open it. Alright, so at first we need to create a database. Create database named Jaggy, since the assignment is on says us to create a database named Jaggy. Okay. So now after we create a database, we need to create tables, insert all the data into the table so that we can create a database on Jaggy. So to first you gotta use syntax use Jaggy. So you to use the database Jaggy, use syntax and just execute it. You can see the green sign over here. Now we can use the syntax Jaggy. Now we at first we're gonna create a table vendor. Start by create table vendor, and then complete it with all the data that we need. That is vendor ID, chart2, and vendor name, and the primary key, that is vendor ID. We gotta specify that. Alright, so let's just highlight all of this and execute it. Okay, we can see that the green sign over here, that means we created a table named vendor. Okay, let's move on, and now let's create a table named category. Category create table category and we need category ID, category name, and also specify the primary key category ID. And let's highlight all of them and just execute it, and we can find, like, see on the bottom the green sign that we created a table category. Now let's move on to the table product. So create table product, and so on the product we got product ID, product product name, product price of vendor ID, and category ID, and all of them are in the columns, and we can see the primary key is product ID, and we got foreign key, that is vendor ID and category ID. Alright, so let's highlight it and create it. We can see we created the table product ID product. Now let's move on and let's create a table that is reason. Create a table reason. Let's populate it with the data, that is reason ID and reason naming, and as we know, a primary key reason ID. And let's execute the highlight it, and we can see we created the table reason. And now after this we're gonna create the table store. Since we're making a database, we're gonna create all the tables, and after that we're gonna insert all the data that we created table for. So we're gonna create a table store, and you can see store ID, store zip, store region ID. These are all the necessary columns in the created table. After we create all the tables, we're gonna insert all the data in all of those columns. Okay, as you can see, just created a table store, and now let's move on to the table customer. Table customer. Now create table customer, and you can see customer ID. We got customer name, customer ID, customer zip, and our primary key customer ID. Since we can see the green sign, it's a successful command. Now let's move on to creating the table sales transaction. Transaction. All right. And on the sales transaction, we got TID and customer ID, store ID, and TDate. TID is the only primary key. The other two IDs are foreign key, and TDate is the one other component in this table. Alright, we can see we made the sales transaction table. Let's create the table. Let's create the table includes. So to create a table includes, use the create table include command and use product ID, TID, quantity, int, not null. You gotta use these commands to create a table, and you can see primary key, that is product ID and TID. Since it looks like this is a relationship, we can see the primary key is from other tables, uh, from the product and the sales transaction. Alright, let's just execute the command. Okay, we can see we created the table includes. So now we're gonna move on to inserting all the data that is on all the tables that we created just now. Just one more time. You don't have to do it, but just highlight the use ID one more time, and insert the values for vendor. To insert the values for vendor, you're going to use the command insert into vendor values, and the semicolon PZ and Pacific Air. Just highlight it and execute it. As you can see, we created two rows with one vendor ID PZ and which one is it? And the other one, that's vendor name. Now we're gonna insert data on category. Let's start. Okay, so we're gonna insert into category values CP, same as the vendor, and highlight it and execute the following syntax. Now we're going to insert some values in the product table. So to insert value in the product table, just insert into, since we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 columns. We're going to use with 5 different data. We're going to populate with these data, just highlight it and execute it, since we can see the green light on it, and all of them were successfully inserted into the product table. And let's insert into reasons, just the same as insert into reason value. Since we got only 2 columns in here, we're going to use C and Chicagoland and T interest to populate the columns. And as you can see, it was successful. The green light is, and the rows are affected, as the program says. And insert into store. Okay, we're inserting some values into the store. Uh, since we got three columns, and we're using 3 database, we're gonna insert some values by just highlighting the code that we wrote it just now. And as you can see, the store values were affected, and we just populated the table store. Now let's go move on to the customer. And to insert values in the table customer, we're gonna use 3 data: 1, 2, 3, 3, T9, 6, 1, 3, 7, and 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4 as a customer ID, and Tony and 6, 6, 6, 0, 6, 11 to insert the values. Just run the values by highlighting the command. As you can see, we are successful, and all the rows are affected. Let's move on to the sales transaction. To populate the sales transaction, we're gonna need 4 columns worth of data, and we're gonna have 5 database that we're using. And we are, let's just execute this by um, highlighting it and using the execute button. Let's see if it works. Yeah, we can see we have five rows that are affected by that, and all were in green light. So now let's move on to the that includes table. As you can see, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 rows that should be affected with 3 columns. Let's just highlight those and see if it all will go. Okay, we can see that everything went through and all rows were affected. And this is how you populate and create a database. Whatever name you want, I just name Jaggy the name of the database. We were done with the first assignment given by the teacher. Now to the next assignment. I think we were supposed to do, let's see, we were supposed to display all the records in the table. customer table. So we have to display all the records in the table customer. We can do that by using the code select asterisk and from table customer and semicolon, and by using this code we can just highlighting X again, we can see all the data that we inserted before on the customer table. So the first display all the records is good, and we can. So now the now instruction is to display all the name that starts with T in the customer table. Alright, so let's from customer and where you can use, so same code, but just we need to add where customer name like percentage T percentage and semicolon. I think we're good. We just use this code and just run it. Okay, or not. Okay, this something went wrong with this product name. What's the customer name like T. Should be the same thing. Where alright. Okay. Because there is a limit or something. Just use, let's just run use Jaggy and do it again. Okay, I think this one was the problem. You can see now. Let's just run the code. Okay, now you can see that the code ran successfully, and we can see the uh, data that starts with T. I think. Okay, now for the third assignment, we're gonna insert two new customers in the customer table. Now by using alright, let's use Jaggy and insert the values customer into, so 2355 Mike and 60633 and 23666 Suzanne and 606 are the values that we just entering into the customer table. Just run the table. Alright, we just inserted two tables, two values into the customer table. Now let's see if we have everything on it. Select and from customer. Alright, let's run the code if we can. Okay. Now we can see we added Suzanne and Pam on the Suzanne and Mike, or Suzanne and Pam? Suzanne and Mike, which you can see all the data in this database. I think this is all for today. We did everything that was asked for, and this is how you make a create a database using MySQL Workbench. I hope it was some help to you guys, and see you next time for another video. Thank you.